Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depends when you watch this video. I spontaneously took my camera and just wanted to briefly talk about one of my favorite hobbies, and that is astrology, while I'm getting ready for the day. So, astrology is still very, let's say, taboo topic, because even people who are proud how much they can actually know how to do charts and how to interpret charts often do not want to openly admit that, because of the fear and of being like judged because of it. I don't know why. It is still like that, and astrology exists for so long, and it's present in our history for so long. Like kings and queens had their own astrologists to advise them and to live side by side with them, and to help them in a sense in the guidance how their life should be lived. So that's why I do not understand how we're still in 21st century and we still judge people for loving astrology. But since my podcast is called Alive and Awake, and we're trying to be more mindful and awake, awaken our souls, and be more present, and also accept who we are in the moment. That also means that we should accept our interests completely. And also being alive and awake in this podcast means that we want to combine science, spirituality, religion, because there is still that small niche. It will grow, but there are people who still believe that, but also they want to expand and prove that spirituality and religion helps in certain scientific approaches, and vice versa. Science and religion do not have to be separated, and in history for some time they were not, but then many things happened and the separation was very clear, and till the point that people believed that it's impossible to combine those two things. However, people start to get more mindful about collaboration, let's say, between science and spirituality, and how not just that they're collaborating with each other, but they're also pretty much intertwined and interconnected, and only in combination of those two we can really understand ourselves, other people, universe, and potential salvation for all of us in any shape or form that salvation means to you. Okay, so I'm getting ready and I don't want to advertise products pretty much, because they are not sponsored. I would just say like, what do I do? So I will put that also in this video, why not? There are female audience who is interested, but also male audience can be interested in cosmetic products, and I love that. So yeah, I know that eye cream is not necessary product, but I do have, so I do use, currently I have a peptide recovery eye cream, so I put that. And in the beginning I placed some lip balm, actually lip mask, because it's more juicy, to hydrate my lips or after sleeping all night. And before that I used very gentle wash for my face to actually wash off my overnight mask that I had on my face, which is for my rosacea, because rosacea is the only thing that I am dealing with regarding my face, let's say, and it's a pretty common thing. So I'm really trying to use gentle products as much as possible, like for washing, for like keeping moisture of the face barrier, also not overwashing or over exfoliating my skin, because that's for sure not good. And then I will use a few serums that I do these days, because this transition to really hot weather makes my skin really dry. So I will continue like with a few serums. I found out that niacinamide is really good for rosacea, and I really like it also on my skin. So I go these days always with some serum that has niacinamide in it. Okay, let's go back to the astrology part. I was like so much interested in astrology all my life, and when I started to study molecular biology and later on to do a PhD in biochemistry and then postdoc in structural biology, and I would say to the people like, yeah, but I also in my free time I love to do astrology and to listen about astrology and to learn more, and also to have my chart analyzed, if not yearly, but like every few years, or when I'm really struggling with some decisions. I like to consult my astrology friends that I have, and I'm just enjoying that. And time after time I have been really convinced that whatever I have been doing in my life is really connected to how my astrology chart looks at a time. So I'm saying this very carefully and very like sentences so not clean, let's say, because I don't want to say that my life has been predicted or anything like that. For sure not. I am as free as possible to choose my life path. And I'm saying this as free as possible because there is the belief, right, from the religion aspect, that our lives are predestined, and that whatever we live in our lives, whatever we get in contact with, is actually already set up. The setup was already made by God, and we do not have to worry, be anxious about anything, because God has our side, knows what He's doing. We just have to trust and believe. But God also gave us the free will, and we can also, with that free will, choose what we will do, so that we use the free will between several choices that come in our path during our life. And that is basically astrology part, or the spiritual, mystical part of life. Astrology doesn't predict your future. Astrology gives you predispositions or certain possibilities that can happen in your life, and you can either choose to follow any of those advices or paths in your way. Like, you can go left, right, straight, or you can go back and just choose some other path that will suddenly pop up, and it was not initially visible in your chart. So we still have the free will. In religion, in astrology, there is a free will. There is no complete prediction. We can all make our own choices and our own decisions. So that's what I like when I talk about astrology, or when I do astrology for other people myself. I always mention that, like, nothing is decided for you. Nothing has to be exactly like I tell you now, or the possibility that I see in your chart doesn't have to be exactly like this. You can work around it. You can choose something else. You have your free will. And if you make a mistake, you can always ask for redemption, if that is a mistake that you think you made, or you can decide that you will continue that path because that's not a mistake for you, for example. So that's the nice part of astrology, and I think people that do not believe in astrology should pretty much understand this. Astrology doesn't predict what will happen. Astrology tells you possibilities of the future events, but you have your free will and you can make your own choices. Okay, so I actually already did the serums and the moisturizer, and now I will go with actually regular sunscreen, not tinted one. I changed my mind. Like, sunscreen, so important. I was not into sunscreens in my 20s, so I hope that my 30s will take care of it. Take care of my choices in my 20s. And since it's morning and it's been a while after I woke up and did my meditations and journaling and all those morning things that I actually have filmed a video about, now I can have my coffee, which is always supplemented with something. Now I have collagen powder inside and whole fat milk. I don't like creamers and I just have a splash of milk, and that's that. Cheers. At some point, I also decided not to hide anymore that I love astrology, even though I'm a scientist. And I had a... let me tell you, I had some looks from people, but I tried very, very much not to care. I really tried to so I did care in the beginning, but I tried not to show it, and I was really persistent in a sense. I want to protect what I like and what I believe in. So I came to the point where when I moved to another country, I was at the stage, okay, I really don't care what people think. This is what I like, this is what I love. And actually, it worked perfectly. Suddenly, I was imitating the energy that people just like don't mind and are actually also interested in what I can tell them about their charts and like have a look in their horoscope, which I did, and I felt good again. Like finally I can be myself, I can express who I am, and the idea of podcast and blog and all the movement that I started now with the spirituality and religion and science came just because I became comfortable finally to say, okay, I do like astrology, I love astrology, I do astrology, so this is who are you dealing with, accept it or not, I don't care. And yeah, that's basically how everything developed, and I am now really here to always say, don't neglect yourself, don't neglect your talents, your truths, because if you're really on the path of awakening, if you're really on the path of self-improvement, of constant self-work, self-checkups, you will know, your gut feeling will tell you, or let's call it your intuition, will tell you the exact thing that you need to know about yourself. Maybe you were not clear some time ago that in your soul you're actually a poet. But if you work on yourself, if you have that time for self-reflection, you will feel, I should take a pen and paper or notebook and I should write these words that are coming up for me. And that's amazing. When that process actually starts, and when you start developing into your true self, it's an amazing process. On the other side, don't get me wrong, it is really, really difficult to be yourself in today's world. So we have to be honest with that. As I mentioned before, I started to care less what people think about me, and that was a long process, believe me, to come to that point, but I'm still working on that. I'm far from being perfect in that, like far. And you just have to be honest with yourself also in that process. Like, okay, I'm working on myself, but I'm still struggling with this and this. That's the part of the process. Like, don't lie to yourself that you already achieved something, like your goal is done, you're already completely transformed and you're like in your Zen state. That's very tough to achieve, and most of us will never be in that state, but at least we can be on the path, you know, we can enjoy the journey. So when you discover that you like something, that you love something, enjoy the journey of getting to that point. Because even now, when I feel secure to say like, yes, I'm a scientist and I'm also astrologer, still there is that like feeling from time to time, depending with who am I talking with. I don't know how you felt in this month of June, but I have found it to be actually quite a difficult month. A month where there was a lot of miscommunication happening, or there was a tendency to lash out, to not being able to calm down the powerful masculine energies, even in the most feminine women. There was something going on in June with the transitions of Venus and Mars in Leo, and also Saturn being in Pisces and Neptune being in Pisces still, while Pluto is like now going retrograde until it really continues smoothly to go from Capricorn to Aquarius. Also, the transition between Sun in Gemini to Sun in Cancer, and Mercury being very vulnerable and emotional and sensitive in Cancer as well. All of those energies were like explosion in a sense, because you have very powerful, almost warrior-like behavior. You want to fight for yourself, you want to attract things, you want to chase what you want to communicate that, but at the same time you have a Mercury in Cancer, which is sensitive and emotional and doesn't know how to communicate those fiery energies that are going on inside of you. So sometimes then it's easier to lash out instead of being patient and being more in control. And I think the June of 2023 was the month where we had to learn how to be more in control of our energies, our emotions, and what we actually want from life. because with Saturn going through Pisces on a global level, we will feel like we want to dream, we want to be free, we don't want to have boundaries anymore. Because while Saturn was in Aquarius, there was still a bit that rationality and desire to progress technologically, to have like important visions, to go further in the future, to be rebellious, to fight again for something. And now we are finally in that emotional, sensitive Pisces, where Saturn is so weak, and we are like, okay, let's just stop having boundaries, let's just dream, let's just be free. And the collectiveness of the world, I think, starts to have that emotion slowly, because like it was enough suppression, repression. We need freedom, we need love, we need emotions. And especially the huge shift will happen when Pluto like really leaves Capricorn and goes into Aquarius, which is as well the freedom of the mind sign, and very intuitive and progressive sign in that sense. So all those shifts happening in June were in opposition to each other, because we want to be free, but we still cannot, because there are energies that are pulling us. We want to explode and tell people what we really feel and what's on our minds, but like we still feel that pull. Maybe we should not, or even if we did, we might experience that was a mistake to do. Okay, so I had to quickly finish my getting ready to a bit speed up the process, but I just added a bit eyeshadow, mascara, and a lip pencil, and that's that. So now I'm ready for whatever the day brings. But I want to, let's say, end this video in a note of moon that is currently happening in Scorpio, which has some really nice aspects with other planets, and depending of course where is it in your chart, it will trigger specific things for you. But in general, this moon in Scorpio should be more like a positive thing, where the communication can be more precise and give a better conclusion first in your head what you want, and then communicate that with the opposite side, or the side that you want to communicate with, partner, family member, boss, whoever that is. Because Mercury is still a sensitive one in Cancer, and the moon is also in a watery sign, Scorpio, but that dark side of Scorpio at this specific moment doesn't have to exit. It can be actually the different side of Scorpio, which is more powerful, emotional, connected version of Scorpio. And I think at the end of this very difficult month, we need to have that, because July also can bring very, let's say, difficult situations, and some important decisions will be resolved and concluded in the beginning of July until the middle of July. Is the point where we conclude things, where we try to finish our making decisions, our projects, our tasks maybe. In very extreme cases, can also mean ending a relationship or a friendship or going out from a workplace. So that really depends on your natal chart. So take the time for this full moon to really collect the energy, like the day and also the day after. Just collect that energy, try to internalize the energy, to maybe meditate or just sense how you feel with everything, and then write it down. It will make easier to write down and send your message to somebody instead of seeing the person and communicating in person. However, July will bring in-person meetings and conclusions, and maybe also some endings that are necessary to come into someone's life. But don't forget that after the full moon days, and when you have the message and you really thought about it, don't forget that also make a wish or a conclusion 3rd, 4th of July, because all from nowadays till 10th of July, mid of July, is very important energy cycle for making the right choice, making the right decision, and actually seeing those things manifesting in your life. Think, be silent, meditate, communicate, and wait. Those are my advices. Thank you for watching this video. I hope really that you like the content of my channel and it can really be still spread over different things. But contact me, tell me what you want to see, ask me a question. Now I say also astrological one if you want, and we see each other and talk in the next video. Have an amazing full moon and beginning of July. Bye!